welcome back to Let's Play Guild Wars Prophecies. It's taken me a long time to get this game going again. Part of the problem, in addition to all just the normal stuff, is I've had a severe problem, and you'll still see a lot of evidence of it in this video, with really horrible latency, bad ping times, running around usually about 1,000 milliseconds all the way up to 4,000 milliseconds, and you can't play a Morpeg with 1 second and 4 second ping rates. You just can't. It's worst in the early going here. It took me quite a bit. I sent a support ticket in trying to find out. I still haven't even heard back on the support ticket, honestly. I did finally find something that would fix it, but it did take quite a bit of work to get that, and a whole lot of standing around and tabbing back and forth, which is why this video is going to have a whole lot of cutting in and out, a little bit of unevenness to it. Tried to do a little bit more editing on this than I did on some of the others. Guild Wars solo play especially can be a very, very slow game, so I tried to do some work to speed this up a little bit. I'm going to go back and the previous, what is it, I think 6 or 7 Guild Wars videos that I've done, I'm going to go back and probably start mashing them together and editing them up, make that a little bit more enjoyable to watch, something that'll move a little bit quicker. I actually, in this go, over the course of about 2 or 3 or 4 days, I go ahead and finish up all of the pre-searing stuff, move into the heart of the game for solo play, but I'm way out of practice getting started here. Matter of fact, I died 2 or 3 times over the next few bits. As I'm going through the quests and I was making sure I had everything checked off, one of the things that I run into, and I'll talk about it later, is since it's been a few months, I got completely lost on what quests I was working on, what I needed to do. I couldn't remember where I was in the secondary progression quests. Oh, finally got my workout. That was the big thing. There's a death. I've been waiting. It's one of the other videos. I spent some time working on bears and trying to get a bear pelt, because that's one of the videos that's appropriate to my level that I was working on at the time, and I just never could get it. Lost connection to the server. Start back up in Foibles Fair and need to head back, turn this quest in, which takes us on to the next stage of that quest. Anyway, there is an achievement. I've never gotten it because I get bored trying to get it. I've tried it with one character and I just got bored. I'd mentioned early on when I was recording Guild Wars that the game has a pretty low level cap that you hit very early. You're capped at level 20, and you can hit that very early in the game. You'll never go past level 20. Your stats will never increase past level 20. And that's despite hitting it really early in the game, and it's just the style of the game. That level 1 through 20 was meant to kind of help people who are used to playing RPGs and Morpegs a different way, or the normal way. That was kind of to help them get used to Guild Wars by doing something that they had done in other games. But the heart of the Guild Wars mechanics is your skill bar. That's really what most of the game is based on, is finding the right combination of skills and just activating them in a good sequence. It'll help you get through the game. The game is not designed for solo play at all. The fact that you can play it solo is not something ArenaNet, NCSoft, whoever did the initial development on it, I can't remember now, they never, the game had been out for years before they even started to put stuff in it that even had anything remotely to do with soloing. Because all of this level 1 through 20, all of the early stuff, the whole purpose of it was to try to, it was a giant training campaign for PvP. Guild Wars was meant to be the ultimate PvP Morpeg. And you know, in a manner of speaking, they kind of blew it because they created something with a really great story and a lot of deep background to it that was a lot of fun. And then, of course, in my personal opinion, they kind of ruined it in Guild Wars 2 because they went and retconned everything and just did something completely different. And Guild Wars 2 is beautiful. It's fun to play, but I played one character for the initial campaign, and I've never gone back to it. I've never had any interest in going back to it. I've gone back to Guild Wars 1 and played it on 2 or 3 different characters since Guild Wars 2 came out. I'm kind of impressed. You don't see it in some, well, I guess there's a couple of these videos you can see. There's a surprising number of people still playing Guild Wars. ArenaNet has stated that they don't see any reason why they can't just keep the servers going forever. They're run in a virtual machine on the Guild Wars 2 servers. The routine maintenance is completely automated. They put almost no effort into running and maintaining the game anymore. Some of that shows there are things that don't run as smoothly as they used to because they don't have people actively engaged in managing the game anymore. But there's still people that play it, and it's still a lot of fun. You have to learn what to pay attention to. You kind of have to learn what your limits are and how the game works. You never give up either. So you can make it through the game. One of the things that I'm going to be getting into, you start seeing me start checking on it, is I've still got, except for my gauntlets, and I'd forgotten I'd already replaced my gauntlets, purely by coincidence. See, just the ping. I keep checking it. I need to get the upgraded armor that you can get. Everything except the helmet is pretty easy to get. It just takes a little bit of time, and so I'll probably get everything except for that helmet. The helmet's just not worth expending the effort. As a matter of fact, the helmet, initially in the game, you couldn't even get the upgraded helmet. In Pre-Searing, you could upgrade everything except for the helmet, and the helmet you had to wait until you got to the next part of the game to upgrade it. So I'll be starting to work on the collector armor, because that's how you get the armor, is the things that are collectibles. You got to get a certain number of those to do the right people. We still need to finish out the secondary profession. The only thing that I have left to do, even though I forgot it was the only thing I have left to do at this point, is I need to the ranger secondary profession training. That's where we'll end up. I was initially looking towards doing a warrior monk for the game. Did a little bit of reading, a little bit of thinking. I think just for pure enjoyment, I'm probably going to do a warrior ranger instead. And I'll probably regret it because a warrior is a tremendous amount of fun, and I've always wanted to do one. And I'll probably regret not doing one. The problem is that as powerful as warrior elementalist is in the early game, because you can't focus on the mana pool that you need as a warrior, it's extremely limited usefulness later in the game. Not great heals either. You're pretty much limited to your rolls, which aren't really sufficient. So, anyway, that's enough for rambling now. We're going to move forward a little bit and pick up here in just a second. Now here's why we were out here in the first place. This is the object of the Wayward Wizard quest. We had to come up out here in the middle of nowhere and tell him that he was missed at home and get him to head home. That's why we've spent the last, 10 minutes fighting through bears and bandits. I mean, in real time it was more like about 35 or 40 minutes, but that was it. And now head back and turn this quest in. Double check on Rurik. We're not going to do those quests. We'll save them till right at the end. I'd forgotten that one of them you don't even need to, but, well, I don't think either of them you actually need to. One of them we could have done already. Except that we really need to be a little bit higher level, although I guess doing it as an elementalist probably would have been better. That point that I never got to, that Langham that we were just talking to, Commander Langham, that's the guy I'd started talking about early on. There is an achievement for hitting level 20 before you leave Pre-Searing. It's possible. Matter of fact, it's always been possible. There's a very difficult method by which you can keep gaining experience from just a handful of enemies, and it took a whole lot of play and a lot of hours. Oh, I need to sidetrack. Once again, this is something that's only recently been added into the game, that the person I just added to my team, I pull levers well. ArenaNet basically announced, I think early in 2017, kind of, sort of, or by omission, I don't know how you would, I'm not going to get into the whole story, but they essentially stated they weren't going to ban bots anymore in Guild Wars. Just, once again, this is a pure legacy product. They are not offering any support or maintenance or management for it anymore, and I think, if I remember correctly, somebody who was running like 16 or 30 bots in PvP, or however many. I'd have never done PvP in Guild Wars, but it was somebody who was botting in PvP, and ArenaNet basically said, well, we really don't care anymore because all of our people are so busy and so far behind, we're not going to bother banning bots anymore. And because of that, a bot programmer put that a bot called I Pull Levers Well, and the entire purpose of that bot is to give you the ability to complete 2 quests that require having someone else in your party. One, all you have to do is have someone else in your party, and then this one, to go through the gate to the wall, you have to have one person run up above and pull that lever, and the other person has to be down here and able to run through and port through into the north side of the wall, which will pull the other party member with them. Guild Wars, it specifically has the timing set up where one person cannot do it, and somebody finally just put a bot in the game since Guild Wars said they weren't going to ban bots anymore. There's a bot in the game now that pulls those levers for you. It also enables you to level in the area north of the wall, which has much higher level enemies. That's one of the ways that you can get to level 20. There's better loot that you can only get north of the wall, like extra bags and stuff. You can only really get that north of the wall. The ability to extract some higher quality stuff with better salvage kits. You can only get those kits as loot on the other side of the wall. This guy is the next warrior trainer. He teaches you a couple of sword skills, which we're not going to activate now, but I tend to prefer using a sword for most enemies in the game. I find that's the best. But we'll get back to that. The little text there went with, who is this again? Balthazar. This is Balthazar, if I remember correctly. The statue of the god. Anyway, back to leveling to 20 in Pre-Searing. ArenaNet actually has an achievement in the game. I think it's been there from the beginning or close to the beginning. An achievement for reaching level 20 in Pre-Searing, which required doing some tricky but not illegal stuff or against the rules stuff in order to do it, and took a whole lot of time and effort. So it was a sought after title. It was so hard to get that I think around the time that Guild Wars 2 came out, or right before or right after, a year before, can't remember now, um, ArenaNet added in some daily quests into Pre-Searing that you can get through that Commander Langham that give you 1,000 XP a day. And with the 1,000 XP a day, I think it'll take you about a month of work to get the, depending on where you start from, of course, it'll take you about you can't get them until level 10, and getting those last few levels from 8 to 10 can be a slog in and of itself, although nothing like what it used to take to get the title, to hit level 20 the old way. That used to take months and months and months of hard work. And with the daily tasks that they added in, where you can get the 1,000 XP a day for doing those, and there's a couple of tricks where you can extend the farming and get even more XP because the enemies are high enough level that you can keep getting XP even as you level up. It made getting the title a lot easier, but still not easy. Okay, Gazdan is the object of 3 quests. 2 of them that are just running to him, and that finishes the quest. But then he also, you talk to him as part of the insurrection quest, finding out what people think of the king. See, something that I didn't talk about too much is, in the lore, something that's set up is the current king, Adalbern, is actually a new dynasty of Ascalonian kings. Going by the most recent lineage, I believe it's Duke Baradin should have actually become the king, but Adalbern was the great war hero of the, quote-unquote guild wars that are part of the lore of the game, and he was basically put into power by the people of Ascalon. Okay, now this is turning in the 2 quests that Devana had sent us on. Okay, now this entire next segment is we're going to go ahead and take care of the prize moa bird that's missing deep in the catacombs. And so we have to fight our way. It's actually would be closer entering the catacombs from one of the other two entrances, but we haven't actually discovered one of those entrances. We went by one of the entrances. We came out of Fort Despair, fighting predators and stuff. There's one entrance there that goes through a devourer cave, and then back up into the main area, eventually leading back to the area where we did all of the questing for the necromancer and monk secondary professions, all of that area. We're going to run right above that, and if we continue off kind of to the left, that heads back into the devourer cave area. But then there's also a temple mausoleum area, and then there's the pit. So, 4 major areas, and we really only messed with one of them, that's right here at the end. But anyway, now we need to fight our way through to the room way in the back where the moa bird is. here's where the Moa bird is supposed to be according to our tracker. Except it looks like the Moa bird is dead, and there's some really horrible things that we're going to have to fight. Now, of course, at this level, it's not nearly as bad as they could be, but let's get things engaged. Anyway, the Moa bird is dead, obviously used for some kind of ritual sacrifice, I guess maybe to some of these things. Get this quest turned in, and then I think it's going to be time to head over and get our ranger stuff taken care of. This is where we start out doing the secondary profession as a ranger, and basically what they send us off to do is not, mess with our bow. The fundamental thing that they send us off to do as a ranger is get an animal companion. And that's one of the reasons why having a ranger secondary profession is really useful, because you can actually do a lot with your animal companion. They have you do a specific one to start out with. We're going to run down here and basically charm a wildcat, what's called a Melandru stalker. It's kind of a blessed beast by Melandru, the ranger nature god. There are other pets you can do. Matter of fact, I think there's at least 2 others in Pre-Searing, maybe 3. I ought to look that up instead of just sticking with the default one. But we'll get this done, and then that will get us set up. I'll need to verify, because I completely forgot how far I'd gone in secondary professions. I'll need to verify that I am done with secondary profession before I actually finalize the secondary profession. Then I'm going to need to learn skills from 1 or 2 other rangers, because it's a secondary profession. But this is half of the things that we needed to get done before we move into finishing out Pre-Searing.